Before I begin today, I want you to take a moment to breathe. Not the kind of breathe where you are trying to fix your life in one inhale. Just one simple breath. Because today we are going to talk about something that many women in midlife secretly wonder, but they rarely say out loud. They're asking, is it too late for me? Or too late to change? Too late to start again? Or too late learning something new? Or too late to build a different future? So stop being afraid and to finally choose yourself. And probably nobody hears you ask that questions and you ask it quietly while washing the dishes or driving home from work and looking at your grown up children and realizing they don't need you the same way anymore. And you are scrolling your phone, watching younger people live with freedom that you never had and flexible work, options, boundaries, and choices. And part of you thinks, how did they learn this? Why? Nobody teach me that there was another way beside sacrificing everything. So, your mind tells you that world is not for you anymore. But today, I want to tell you, not in a fake motivation way and not in a just believe and everything will magically happen way. No, it's not like that. I want to tell you in a real, grounded, science backup, life tested way that you are not too late because your brain can still change and your habit can still change. Then your confidence can still grow and your fear can still quiet and turn it down because your life still can open. You are not expired milk, sis. You are not sitting in the clearance sections of life with a yellow sticker on your forehead. You are not done. You are still becoming. So, welcome back to the other side of dreams. I'm Jocelyn, and this is a space for women who have spent most of their lives being strong for everyone else, and now find themselves asking, what about me? Here, we talk about healing, identity, midlife, money fears, purpose, and reinventions, and rebuilding life with dignity. Not in a panic mode and not in a pressure mode, but with clarity. And today's episode is for the woman who thinks she missed her chances. Sis, you did not miss your chance. You may have missed some timing and have missed some support or have missed some opportunity because life has busy asking you to survive. But you did not miss yourself. You are still here. And as long as you are still here, changes is still possible. And let's be honest. Sometimes, when women reach midlife, we don't just feel older, we feel behind. And that feeling can be heavy because we look around and think everyone else planned better. Someone has a retirement savings, and someone has a business, and someone has a lot of confidence, and someone has a marriage that looks peaceful and has a grown up children who call every day and has a beautiful kitchen and matching containers. And here you are, opening the fridge like it's going to give us life directions. You know that moment, right? You open your fridge, stare inside, and close again, and then open it again 5 minutes later, as if a miracle of lasagna might appear. That's how midlife can feel sometimes. We keep opening the doors of our life, hoping the answer will suddenly be there. But instead, we see leftovers, bills, responsibility, and one cucumber judging us from the corner. But underneath the humor, there is a real ache. A woman might say, I should have started earlier, or I should have saved more, or I should have gone back to school, or I should have taken better care of my health. And there's one more thing. I should have listened to that small voice years ago. And that word should become heavier. Should is like a grocery bag with too many canned goods, and at first you think, I can carry this. Then, halfway to the car, your fingers are screaming. And that is what regrets can feel. You carry it quietly, but here is the thing, many women in midlife were not lazy. They are loaded with children's, with their marriage, with work and survival, with caregiving responsibility, and loaded with being the emotional support system for everyone else. So, when a woman says, I am behind, sometimes the truth is no. Sis, you are not behind. You were busy holding the whole table together while everybody else was eating. And you were not doing anything. You were just surviving. And you were providing comfort to anyone while you were not. Because you were raising your kids and you were enduring and adapting to life in front of you. And adaptation is proof that your brain has already changed many times. You just may not have called it that. Now, let's talk about the brain in a simple way. Because your brain is not concrete. It is not a finished house where the builders left in 1985 and said, that's it, no renovations allowed. Your brain is more like a walking path. The thought you keep repeating becomes trails, and the habits that you have become roads, and the fears that you repeat becomes the highways. So, if for many years your brain has practiced, I am not good enough, I'm too old, I cannot learn that, I always fail, and I must take care of everyone else first, and I cannot disappoint my family, and I am scared to start. Then those thoughts become familiar, right? And familiarity can feel like truth, but familiar does not always mean true. Sometimes familiar just means repeated. That is a powerful shift because when you understand that many of your thoughts are patterns, not prophecies, You stop worshiping every fear that walks into your mind. Fear may knock on the door, but you do not have to give it coffee and a bedroom. This is where brain change comes in because the brain can build new pathways. That means when you practice new thoughts, new habits, and new actions and new responses repeatedly, your brain can begin to create new patterns. Not overnight, not because you listened to one podcast and suddenly became a brand new woman by dinner time. No, brain change is not a microwave popcorn. It is more like a slow cook stew. You add small ingredients and you stare and you wait and you come back and you adjust. And slowly, something begins to change. That is how healing works and how confidence grows. And this is how discipline becomes possible. And it is how fear loses power. Not because it disappears completely, but because your inner authority gets stronger. So now let's go deeper because many women in these seasons are not only battling age, they are battling the voice inside their head. And that voice can be rude, very rude. It says, like, who do you think you are? You are too old for this. You don't know enough. You will embarrass yourself. People will laugh at you. And for sure, you don't finish what you start. You always start and stop. There's one more. What if you fail? What if your children don't support you? And what if your husband think this is nonsense? And what if nobody listen? Because that voice can sound so convincing because it has been rehearsed for years. It has a microphone, a chairs, and apparently unlimited airtime. But here's the truth. Not every voice in your mind is wisdom. Some of it is fear, old criticism, and some of it childhood pain. It is a survival mode, and some of it is the echo of people who doubted you. Some of it is a tired nervous system trying to protect you from discomfort. So when you try something new, your brain may say, danger. But sometimes it is not a dangerous thing. Sometimes it's just unfamiliar. And that is why one of my favorite reminder is discomfort is not always dangerous. Sometimes discomfort is rewiring. Let that sit for a moment. Because when you are changing, it may feel uncomfortable. Starting a podcast feel uncomfortable, right? And learning technology while talking about money, setting boundaries, choosing yourself, resting without guilt may feel uncomfortable too. But uncomfortable does not mean wrong. It may mean you are stepping outside the old patterns. And the old patterns will not clap for you right away. And the old pattern is like an old auntie at the family party. She has opinions. And she says, where are you going? Why are you dressed like that? Who told you to start now? And you have to smile and say, Auntie, thank you for your concern. But I am not asking permission anymore. That's beautiful, right? That is the work, not fighting for yourself with anger, but gently interrupting the old script that keep on running in your mind. Imagine a woman in her 50s. She has worked hard most of her life, and she raised children while working overseas. She cleaned houses, cared for other people's children, worked in hotels, kitchens, hospitals, and factories and offices. And she has the one everyone depended on. And she did not have time to sit and ask herself, what is my dream? Her dream was to survive, was to feed her children. Her dream was to pay rent, and her dream was to send money home. And her dream was to make sure everyone else had shoes, lunch, school supplies, winter jackets, and a better chance. And now the children are grown and house is quieter and the phone does not ring the same way and the body is tired. The bills are still there. And suddenly she looks at herself and say, "What now?" But then she sees the world moving fast. Online businesses, podcasting, coaching, technology, social media, AI courses, and retirement planning, investing, digital skills, and she thinks this is for younger people. But one day, something inside her whisper, what if I learn? Not because you want to become a famous, but because you want to prove everybody that they are wrong, but because you want to feel alive again and you want a dignity for yourself and an options. You want to know that if life changes, you can change too. So you begin small, very small, and watch one tutorial, then another, and you write one page, and you record one thoughts, and you make one mistake, another mistake, and another mistake was wearing a different hat. And at first, you feel foolish, of course. Your brain says, "You see, I told you you cannot do this." But you keep going, and not perfectly, not every day, and not with glamorous lighting and matching notebooks. You learn while you're tired, and you forgot the password. And sometimes the computer updates at the worst possible time. And you want to throw the phone into the rice cooker. But slowly something shifts and you begin to understand. Then you begin to try and you begin to believe in yourself and begin to say, I can learn. And that sentence is powerful because I can is a small door that opens before confidence walk in. Confidence does not always arrive first. The actions arrive first, then confidence follow behind carrying its purse. Now, let's make this practical because I don't want this episode to only inspire you. Inspiration is beautiful, but if we do not give it somewhere to go, it becomes like buying groceries and leaving them in the car. Good intention, bad smell later. So, here are gentle ways to start helping your brain change. Stop saying, I'm too old, and start saying, I am practicing. This is a simple but powerful. Instead of saying, I'm too old to learn this, say, I'm practicing to learn this. Instead of, I'm bad with technology, say, I am learning the technology one step at a time. And instead of, I always quit, say, I am learning how to continue. Because your brain listens to the world you repeat. So stop feeding it expired labels. You would not feed your body spoiled food on purpose, right? So do not feed your mind spoiled identity. And the brain changes through repetitions, not drama, just intentional repetitions. And you don't need to change your whole life today. Start tiny. 10 minutes of learning, 5 minutes of writing, and one phone call, one boundary, one walk, one page, or one honest prayer, or one recorded voice note, and one budget check, and one quiet moment where you do not abandon yourself. Tiny actions are not tiny when repeated. A drop of water looks weak until it curves stone. So when you start changing, resistance will come. Not because you are failing, because your brains love familiarity. And even if familiar is painful, it can still feel safe. So when you start choosing yourself, your old patterns may say, this feels selfish. And when you start learning, it may say, this is too hard. And when you start preparing financially, it may say, this is scary. So when you start resting, it may feel you are lazy. Do not panic. That is not always a stop sign. Sometimes it is just your old programming trying to keep its job. And let me tell you, old programming does not resign quietly. Because one severance pay too, a retirement party, and one last speech. But you can gently say, thank you. You protected me before, but I am choosing a new way. And your brain needs evidence. If you keep telling yourself, I can change, but you never take action, and your brain says, where is the receipt? So, give your brain receipt. Every time you finish something small, notice it. Say it. You see, I followed through today. And you see, I learned something today. And I tried even though I was afraid. And I rested without guilt. Spoke kindly to yourself. You did not quit on yourself today. This is how you build self trust. Self trust is not built by big promises, it is built on a small, kept promises. This one matters. When the old peers speaks, you pause and do not immediately obey it. Pause and ask, is this fear protecting me or it's limiting me? And one question can change everything because some fear is helpful. If there is a bear in your kitchen, listen to fear. And also, please call somebody. But if your fear is saying, do not start because people might judge you, that may not be protection. That may be a limitations. And sis, sometimes the bear is not in the kitchen. Sometimes it is just your imagination wearing a bear costume. Now, I want to say something tender. Some of your patterns did not come from weakness. They are come from training. You may have been trained to stay quiet and trained to please other and trained to sacrifice, to believe your needs were too much, and to think rest must be earned. And you believe money is only for survival, not for dignity. And you believe your dream must wait until everyone else is okay. And when you repeated something for years, your brain builds around it. So please hear me. You are not broken and you were trained. And if you were trained one way, you can be retrained another way. That is hope, not fantasy. It's hope. If your brain can learn fear, it can learn courage also. And if your brain can learn guilt, it can learn peace. And if your brain can learn silence, it can learn your voice. If you can learn survival, you can learn instability. If your brain can learn to abandon you, you can also learn to come back home to you. That is why this season matters, because midlife is not the end of the story. Midlife is the chapters where the woman finally says, I have carried everyone else long enough. Now I need to learn how to carry myself with love. Not selfishness, love. Not rebellion, it's alignment. Not panic, it's a preparations. So, this week, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Not to overwhelm you, just to wake something up in you. What old sentence have you been repeating about yourself? It is, I'm too late, I'm not smart enough, I'm not confident, and I don't know where to start. I always fail. I have no discipline. I am just a mother. I am just a worker. And I am just tired. Write it down. Because once you see the sentence, you can stop letting it run the whole house. What new sentence do you need to practice? Not a fake sentence, okay? Not I am a millionaire by Tuesday. We are not doing magic tricks here. A grounded sentence like I can learn one step at a time. I am allowed to begin again, and my brain can still change. And I can build new habit slowly. And I am not too late to prepare. And I can become a woman I trust. Choose one and repeat it. Not because words alone fix everything, but because word becomes directions. And the question number 3, what is one small action that proves the new sentence? This is where change begins. If you change your sentence, if your sentence is, I can learn one step at a time, then your action may be watching one tutorial. And if your sentence is, I can prepare without panic, then your action may be looking at your expenses for 10 minutes. And if your sentence is, I am allowed to choose myself, then your action supposed to be taking a quiet walk without explaining yourself to everybody. One sentence, one action, repeating daily, that is how you begin rewiring, not by bullying yourself, but building trust with yourself. Now, let's talk about the part that many women avoid: money. Because when we talk about brain change, we are not only talking about emotions, we are talking about your future. Because many women in midlife are carrying quiet financial fears. Not always loud and not always visible, but it is there. You ask, what if I cannot work forever? And what if I get sick? My body slows down. What if my children cannot help? What if my marriage changes? And retirement is not enough. If I never build anything for myself, what if? There are a lot of what ifs in our heads every day talking to us. These are not a small thoughts. These are heavy thoughts. And sometimes the brains avoids them because they feel scary. But avoidance does not create safety. Preparation does. And this is where brain change becomes practical. Because the old pattern may say, do not look, it is too scary. And the new pattern says, I can look gently. And the old pattern says, I don't understand money. And the new pattern says, I can learn one thing. The old pattern says, it's too late to build options. And the new pattern says, I can start with what I have. This is not about becoming rich overnight. This is not about chasing hype. And this is not about pretending online income is easy. No. This is about dignity, options, skills, preparations, because your future self is not asking you to become perfect. She is asking you not to abandon her. And that is different because your future self is saying, please start something small now and learn and prepare and do not wait until panic is knocking at the door wearing work boots. Because panic is not a gentle visitor. Panic does not take off its shoes at the door. Panic walks in and say, okay everybody, move. And preparation is different. Preparation is quiet. And preparation says, let's take one step before the storm. That is why your brain change matters. Because when your brain changes, your choices change. And when your choices change, your habit changes. And when your habit changes, your futures began to change. Now listen carefully. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience, from survival, from wisdom, and from all the things you already carried. You know how to work hard, how to sacrifice, how to solve problems, and how to keep going when life is not easy. And you know how to stretch a dollar and you feed people. And you know how to show up even you are tired. And how to begin again after disappointment. So, do not tell me that you cannot learn. You have been learning your whole life. You learn about new countries, new jobs, new responsibilities, and new seasons. and new losses, and new versions of your children's, and new versions of yourself. You have already changed many times. So this time, the change is not only for survival. This time, the change is for you. And I know that you can feel strange because some women in midlife are more comfortable being needed than being known, and more comfortable giving than receiving. And you are more comfortable fixing than dreaming. And you are more comfortable surviving than expanding. But sis, I want to tell you, you are allowed to expand, and even now, especially now. So here is your invitation. This week, do not try to rebuild your whole life. Just begin noticing. Notice the old voice, notice the fear, and notice the sentence you keep repeating. And notice where you say, I can't, before you even try, and then gently interrupt it. Say this: I can learn. I can start small. I am not too late, and my brain can still change. The woman I am becoming is already waiting for me. And if this episode speaks to you, I want you to stay close to this space because this is what we are building here: a reset, a gentle but honest reset. Not just emotional, practical, identity, habits, mindset, and money, purpose, preparation, and dignity. Because you are not just healing from the past, you are preparing for the life ahead, and you do not have to do it in panic. You can do it one brave step at a time. So, before we close, I want you to remember this: you are not too late, not too old, not too far behind, and your brain is not finished. Your story is not closed, and your courage is not gone. It has just been buried under responsibility. So your confidence has been sleeping under years of survival. Your dreams are not dead. They are just waiting for a safer version of you to come back and say, I am ready to try again. So this week, be gentle with yourself, but do not disappear from yourself. There is still to learn and to prepare to change. And it's still time to become new version of you and seize your next chapter does not need permission from your old fear. It only needs one small beginning. So thank you for being here with me today on the other side of dreams. Take what spoke to you and leave what does not. I'll see you in the next episode.